Hello, welcome to True Hoop with me, Jarod, Hector, and Coach David Thorpe. How are you, sir?
Wet, damp,
Yeah.
soggy.
David's in Florida. He had a part of a hurricane hit him, but like not, nothing
Yeah,
crazy.
When it
okay.
passed us, it was a tropical storm. We just had the outer bands, lots of twigs and branches down, and I've drained my pool 3 times, which only means 4 inches each time or so. It's not like the pool was down at the bottom.
Right.
Can't do that. But today's a very important day, Jarod, as I told you guys before.
Today's an important day. What did you say this morning?
It's a very important day in my household.
Did I forget already?
On this day, well, I'm really not that interesting a guy. On this day in 1990, my wife said I do.
Oh, yes, 34th year. I'm like, what are you talking about? I was like, yeah, we talked about this. Correct.
It's only important to me and her and our kids. But yeah. If you wanted to follow the timeline of David Thorpe, you could, and you wanted to label those timelines, there'd be a lot of capital O ordinary. And then I don't know what you call me now, but things turned for the better when she became my partner, literally 34 years ago. We were 25 and she was about to turn 22, just graduated college. We defied the odds, and we got plans already for next summer's vacation. And when I turn 60, nice. And I don't think if she leaves me, it's not going to be anytime soon. We got another year at least.
David,
I feel good about.
34 years.
We've already booked the tickets.
Highly unlikely at this stage.
I know some people that did it and it worked out well for them. But
right.
Like I said, we've got our ticket, our cruise to Alaska tickets already done. That'll be next. Exactly a year from now, we'll be in Alaska, which we've never done before. So she's committed for another year. I'm not going to look past that. But she definitely changed my life for the better, for sure. And today's 34 years. Unbelievable.
Congratulations to Coach and Christy. He's hilarious. His family, he's got another year. But spoken like a true coach, never looking too far down the road.
No. You got to plan ahead,
right.
But you're always looking at contingencies. No, so far, so good.
Over David's right shoulder, of course, is a framed basketball jersey of his son, Max Thorpe. Who everybody knows.
Not on the wall.
No, but I mean, I'm sure you'll put it up at some point. Maybe not.
I try to give it to him. He's back. That's why it's out.
Okay.
He's in town.
Okay.
I want to know if he wanted it. He's like, no, I don't want it. I wore it for 4 years. You can have it. So I don't know what I'm going to do with it. I don't have anyone's jersey. The players are very sweet. They give me, on occasion, signed jerseys, whatever. Yeah. Like, I've had over 120 now.
Your walls would be, there's no room.
No, if I posted a jersey, it'd be my son's for sure.
Right.
But no, I'm not. The jerseys don't mean a lot to me. The friendships matter.
Yes,
and the fact that he wants us to have it. But my wife has her own classroom this year. So she doesn't know this, but I think maybe I'm going to have him bring it in later this week and have her put it in a classroom. Yeah,
that'll be very nice.
Yeah. I'm trying to make it past 1 more year, Jarod.
Listen, I'm feeling pretty confident. I feel pretty good.
So
speaking of feeling confident, Team USA into the quarterfinal round. They won their group, number 1 seed overall. And the quarterfinal brackets are now set. And we're going to kind of go through some of them. But we'll start with Team USA, who plays Brazil. And some of the talk already coming out, David. And, look, we've been doing this a long time. You longer than me. Coaches say a lot of stuff and a lot of things just, the correct answer that just comes out, right? But I do think Steve Kerr is serious in that, Brazil's physicality is something that we've taken note of. And, all the right things that we must be on edge and all the things that David said all the time. Like, yes, we are overwhelmingly more talented than every team. However, if we do not take things seriously, we can lose. So all the things are put out there by Kerr that we're going to take this seriously. This Brazil team's very strong rebounding, blah, 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 tough, physical, all that. So first game of the quarterfinals. Well, at least the one we're going to discuss anyway. I don't know in the order if it's the first game. USA versus Brazil. How do you see that one going?
Well, you're right that, what Kerr said. And I personally think that it's a natural ingredient for greatness. I don't know if I ever told this story before on our show, but long ago, in 1992, I think it was, I had a high school team that we were very good. And we lost in the final 8 to get the game to get to the final 4, which is a big deal in any state. And I spoke to a buddy of mine whose name is Frank Martin. Frank is now the head coach at UMass, but he's been in the Final Four for South Carolina as head coach. Frank was the JV coach and assistant varsity for Miami High that won the championship pretty much all the time. They were amazing program. And I called him to congratulate him because his team made it. And he told me, and of course I saw him that week. I went there. He said, we won our game, which was not for sure. And we kept calling the Miami Herald to find out if you guys won, because we did not want to play you guys. And I thought we were definitely really good. Our best player ended up being a Final Four starter 2 years later. And I'm like, why would we didn't think we could be within 15 of them. They were so good. But that's why they were so good, is because they respected their opponents. And they always assumed they were going to get the other team's best. And I just, as someone who's been working with these athletes for so long, they have a swagger and a confidence, although it's not
arrogance,
pathological. It's based on hard evidence, and they know it could be gone tomorrow.
Sure. And
they recognize when you have made it to the quarterfinals of the Olympics, you found a way to win games. And so that's to be respected and admired. It's like the golfer with the bad grip and the bad swing that wins tournaments. Steve Kerr has been around. All these players. It's one of my favorite things about these guys, Jarod. Even going back to my high school days, our best player, Dimitri Hill, would respect the other team no matter what color they were, how tall or small they were, if they had made it to the finals of a tournament. He knew they could win.
Right.
Those guys can hoop. And he would tell younger guys, fellas, forget about how they look. We're not in the streets of St. Pete anymore.
Right.
This is the big world. These guys keep winning. That means they're good. Just because they don't look the part for your eyes. You have to trust me on this. I've been around the whole country because he would travel everywhere to play in the offseason, as all great players do. So for 1 second didn't think Steve Kerr was making shit up. It's one game of 40 minutes.
Correct.
And if we shoot poorly and they get 17 offensive rebounds, and those a lot of oftentimes, as you know, are kick out threes.
Yep.
And they make 11 of them. That's 33 points right there on second shots.
Yep.
Like, do the math, man. And so the great ones do the math. And I read LeBron talked about their commitment to what they do offensively and defensively. If we lose, it will not be because we're taken by surprise.
Right.
It'll just be we played badly and they played great.
Right.
And that's the key to greatness, man.
Yeah, for sure.
Don't overlook the small stuff. You know who overlooks the small stuff? Guys who lose when they didn't think they would lose.
Yeah.
Or girls, teams.
Yeah.
So Brazil plays really physically, which is allowable in FIBA.
Correct.
I think we have Embiid.
We do.
Let's see if he can go beat people to the ball, because we have AD also, and he can really rebound. When you ask AD not to worry so much about other facets of his game,
right? I
think he can be an exceptional defensive rebounder.
Yep.
And we're going to have to really lock in on that.
Yep.
Our guards have to come help rebound. LeBron's got to be a big factor. He's so smart. If he can't get a clean rebound, he'll tip it to himself or to a teammate away from the bad guys. Yeah. If we lose, it won't be because we're not aware of that we might.
Yeah, no, defense rebounding, right? It's got to start there. And, it's one of those things, right, where it's funny because, and we'll talk about this a little bit later, NBA fans, and in some ways rightfully so, of course, the NBA is the best basketball league in the world. But oftentimes you get caught in that mindset of that's the only kind of basketball you know. Well, FIBA basketball isn't the NBA, as we've discussed a few times already on the show in terms of how it's officiated. Also, this is not best out of 7. This is single elimination from here on out. Like, again, as David mentioned, a shitty shooting night and you don't rebound, you're probably going to lose that game, right? Or it's going to be very tight late and you're like, shit, what do we do?
Well, that's what I was going to say is the very tight late part. We've not really been in a battle, this team. And if you are scripting a game plan to beat Team USA, you're, in my opinion, you should be scripting out how do we get up 20 as fast as possible. Because I don't care who the opponent is. They can play badly, you can play great, and let's try to hold on to a 20-point margin. So that's number one. Let's assume that's not likely to happen just because Team USA is so talented.
Right.
A lot of guys have to miss a lot of shots. So the second part would be 5 minutes to go on the clock, second half. And it's a one-possession game. How do we manage that? Because let's make them beat us in that kind of environment. And you've got to coach to that. You've got to keep it tight, keep it tight. The more the game's in doubt, the more chances you have to make amazing plays, have a referee make a terrible call that's
Correct.
really huge, or have them just kind of grip
Correct.
and just not play as well. You've got to create that. And it's easier to do in 40 minutes than it is 48, because that means you really have to do it for 35, not 43. You've got to it's a less of a time frame to create that environment where this game's in doubt. There's pressure on these plays.
For sure.
That's the recipe for Brazil.
And as good as we laud Team USA and all their players, listen, they're not immune to pressure and getting nervous in tight spots, right? So, and that's what you want, because again, with you, if you're the opponent, you're expected to lose. USA is the one with the pressure to win the goal.
Yeah. Brazil has no pressure.
You have 0. So you literally can play free, right? So let's see how they react. As David said, damn, 1 possession game, 5 to go. Are we tightening up? And when you tighten up, you revert back to what's most comfortable. What we loved about what we see in Team USA, David, is the ball zinging around, popping and flying. Does it get sticky all of a sudden? And guys are like, I got to make something happen, right? Again, these are the best. They're not immune to doing that, right? Because that's often their default. I'm going to make something happen.
We're not machines. I watching the Olympics and seeing these swimmers, boy, they seem like machines.
But they're not.
They're just incredible. But they're not. Like, so we were talking about the kid from Countryside High School, who my kids went to school with, that won the, I think it was a 1,500 meter free from lane 7. I mean, did you hear what they were saying about his swimming strategy of, he was taught early on, here's your strategy and do it. And he doesn't do that. He races the other guys.
Yeah.
I don't know how you know where anyone is when you're in a pool. It's quite amazing. But that's what he does. It's a psychological battle a little bit. That's the human element. Machines don't do that.
Right.
These guys aren't human. It works both ways too. Brazil might realize, oh my God, right?
Yeah.
They have one NBA player on their team, and he doesn't play a lot. Santos from the Warriors.
Right.
That's AD.
Yeah.
Oh, that's LeBron. That's Steph.
Right.
There is a potential. It hasn't happened in the playoffs yet that I've seen.
Right.
I'm sorry, in the Olympics. Doesn't mean it can't.
Right.
Doesn't mean it won't. So if it doesn't, well, now we have to play the game the real way, and America does anyway. And the old saying of the longer teams in the game. Well, the reason why that's the case is because the favorite can tighten up. They could just, I got to make this. Well, when you start saying I have to make something, like when announcers say it, I cringe.
Yeah.
First of all, no, you don't. Unless it's the last shot of a game, whatever.
Right.
When someone misses the open 3 because their man lifts a double and the announcer says, oh, he has to make that, I wanted to finish the sentence. Enough.
Right.
He'd have to make that shot. There's no evidence suggested that shot early in the game is any one thing. You have to make it enough to make the other team pay for your doubling. But you have to make every shot you shoot. And these announcers often act like you do. So with Team USA, that's where experience comes in.
Yep.
I think you're making an amazing point. How do they execute? If things aren't going great for them in the second half, we don't know. So far it's been great.
Correct.
It just hasn't been all that competitive, in part because they've extended those leads in the first 2 games. The Puerto Rico game, by quarter 2, you could tell the game was over.
Yep.
Because I think Puerto Rico had 30 in the first.
Yeah, and then after
that, they didn't do much after that. Yeah, and that's something too. We talked about offensive rebounding. Team USA's turning the ball over will be a big deal of not being casual, and then their effort defensively can really make it tough on Brazil to score. As long as they finish up with defensive rebound, hard to beat Team USA if you're not scoring 100.
Oh, I mean, probably impossible. Right? Another quarterfinal game, Team France versus Team Canada. Might be a lot of French spoken on the floor in that game.
No, what Montreal players? I don't know any Montreal players.
No Montreal players.
No.
RJ's Toronto, right?
Yeah, Ben Mathurin and Omax Prosper are Montreal guys that aren't on the team.
No,
they will be, I think, maybe in the future. But I don't think they'll probably have heard it a few times.
Sure.
I was talking to a guy from Canada who was in France. He called me. He's one of his children is on the Olympic team, an Olympic team, and he said, "I said, how's it going over there?" He's like, "Speak a lot of French here." He's not from French speaking Canada,
right.
But it's a really interesting contrast.
Yeah,
because you've got the bigs versus the littles. Yeah.
It should be quite the game. You've mentioned earlier talking about Team Canada. You have not loved what you've watched on them
No, I've not liked it
offensively.
at all. No.
And France, while they played well for, I think, 3 pool games. 2 pool games were good, and their 3rd pool game not great. And they kind of been flirting with disaster for a little while there and got beat. So what do you see in that France versus Canada game?
I mean, yeah, I don't know the teams too well. I do know that, France has got all that size inside, and Team Canada is playing guys like Olenek and Powell, Dwight Powell, and Kem Birch, who's not even on an NBA roster right now. He's the 3rd string center. So Canada's guards, first of all, Canada is playing great defense. They're 3-0. They had the toughest pool, I thought. They did not look good offensively. I don't see a connected team like you do in Germany or even Team USA. But they're guarding. They're definitely defending, and that definitely matters. Team Canada's got a tough battle because they have to shoot well.
Yeah,
because they're not going to be able to score a bunch inside with those big guys inside, and then Canada's lack of ability to score inside. But they have a lot of guys that can do what Canada is. A lot of guys. So I would give Canada the distinct edge.
I mean, Wemby, this might be a game where, because of Canada, Batum and those guys are getting a little long in the tooth, Wemby might have to have one of those virtuoso two-way games, right? Offensively and defensively. A ton of rebounds, blocks, and like 20-plus points for Canada to really, for France to pull the upset here over Canada. But, again, Olympic basketball, you never know. We shall see what happens in that one. Should be exciting. I'm looking forward to that one. The defending FIBA World Cup champions, Germany versus Greece. Talk about a connected team, man. Germany, I feel like since FIBA World Cup, man, they've just been like, they feel like, and by title, because they won the last World Cup, they feel like we are the best national team in the world. And they just look fantastic, David. Dennis Schroeder is like, it's amazing how guys, when their roles are different on different teams, how they're able to perform certain ways. And Schroeder, it's almost like old Patty Mills in Australia. It's like, what? Look at this guy's amazing. And like that, this is Schroeder. Schroeder's looking like if they're making a best 5 on the Olympics, he might be the lead guard, one of the lead guards, because he's been outstanding.
Yeah, I spoke to someone who works with Team Germany, and he said that they're really a connected team, super connected team. And then I spoke to a player who's not on Team Germany, but he's in the tournament, and he said our team doesn't play as connected as that team. And so, yeah, they won the World Championship.
Correct.
And they're playing off that. So they're not going to be an easy team to beat.
And
they're likely to win the game.
Franz Wagner also playing extremely well. Like that, and they've got guys, right? Daniel Tice, like they got NBA dudes, right? Like who are not just dudes who like sit around on benches in the NBA. They play. And they're good players. Playing Greece, who we know is Giannis centric, and Giannis, I think, is just happy that he got them to the knockout stage. Because the rest of that squad is just...
They're not very good.
Not good. Listen, is what it is, right? And the final game, Serbia versus Australia. Australia is sort of a very interesting team in that, like, you would assume now, although because he's had a rough couple going in the NBA, that Ben Simmons would have been on this team, right? Certain guys, but that's just...
Does he even play basketball anymore?
Well, I know you're saying that half in jest, but, like, yes. Like, do we even know, right? Like, I'll tell you this. This is the last year of his deal, if I'm not mistaken. I know Brooklyn cannot wait till that contract. They're like, please get us off of this thing. And David, just to really quick, is this possible he's not in the NBA much longer? Highly likely.
I think it's even likely. I think it's likely. I don't know medically and emotionally, mentally what's going on.
Right.
I did see a video the other day. Who's the announcer? He used to be at ESPN. Colin
Cowherd?
Yeah. Colin Cowherd. Yeah. I haven't seen it. I didn't know he's still on the air. I'm sure he's been on the air for a long time. I just don't follow that stuff.
Right.
But I saw a video of him the other day. This was old, where he was basically saying, "Hey, LeBron, like I've seen Ben Simmons. You can retire now. I don't want you to retire, but you can. Like we're okay. The league's okay." He wasn't wrong. I understand his point.
Yes, the talent was there.
We got lots of talent in this league.
Mm-hmm.
Simmons was just an incredible, tragic story of a guy that really should have been phenomenal. And if you could wave a magic wand, woo, and I like that, woo. Yeah. And Ben Simmons became the player he could be.
Right.
Man, we'd be talking about Australia right now for sure.
100%.
Because he was such a force on both ends. But he's not.
Yeah.
And so, I mean, it's really Australia is a scrappy group. They've got talent, and then they've got Jokic on the other side.
Yeah, I think Serbia should win that game, and it'll set up for an interesting semifinal round. Things break out. The France-Canada winner would play Germany-Greece. So David thinks Canada and Germany will be that game. A Canada-Germany game will be very interesting, and then USA-Serbia rematch. Again, I think for Serbia, those guys are gonna have to really be on fire from deep. It's going to be and we have to be not great from deep. And Jokic has one of his, Jokic type games, 20, 10, and 12, 13, whatever it is. Guys cutting, doing their thing, and it could be interesting. But, I think
we got a ways to get there.
We do. We got to win the quarterfinals
round first. Yeah,
got to win the quarters first. All right, we have our Monday morning calls where we discuss, different ideas we have for topics, and oftentimes it usually starts with anecdotes. Weekend, what you guys do, stories, is watching the Olympics, whatever.
Drained a pool 3 times.
And I literally wrote back in our text group, Florida, with a shrug face and with a shrugging emoji. Yeah. I'm like, sounds about right to me.
Oh, I didn't even mention the catfish in our driveway.
Oh, the catfish?
Yeah.
Because
that's a first.
Because there's 25 feet of water, so there's catfish in your driveway.
No.
And then you could have an alligator in your driveway.
I'm very surprised we haven't seen one in the neighborhood. Maybe I'll get a text soon, because when it floods as badly as it flooded, they get lost a little bit and they get caught in a pipe, and all of a sudden they're on a creek. We've never had one in my yard big, but my neighbors on both sides have had larger ones. And whatever. Yeah. But this was the catfish. So anyway, this is what we were discussing in our morning call at 8 o'clock in the morning.
What we were discussing. And then David, because he's so busy watching NBA and preparing his hundreds of clients that he has, not only just in the NBA, but around the world in the various professional basketball leagues, he rarely gets to watch anything else. And so he turned on the Team USA women's basketball team, national team, 5-on-5. And for the first time, and David, you got to tell this story, because it was just fantastic.
So let me first say this: I absolutely am thrilled with women in sports and women in basketball. Please don't take this the wrong way. If there's any women watching this or listening, I just don't have any time. I think I may have mentioned on air. I certainly mentioned off air. My wife and I went Napa a couple weeks ago for part of our vacation, and it got cold at night. We were sitting around a fire pit, and there was a younger black gentleman who we got to talking to it was his wife and his parents, and he was in the NFL. He was a former first-round pick, and I just kept saying, I'm sorry, I don't know who you are.
Right.
I don't know anything about. And then he would tell me I was drafted first round. I'm like, I've not watched the game since 2007 when our kids were 6. I quit, and so I don't know anything about the NFL. I could name like 6 players, maybe now, maybe 4, and so I definitely don't know women's basketball. And so I know I watched the college championship last year. That was amazing.
Right.
So,
but the game of basketball is the point.
Correct. So I put it on, excited, like, all right, I don't know. I knew that our men's soccer team was under 23. Mm-hmm. So I started thinking, well, I don't know any of these. I literally didn't recognize any of their names. Not that they were saying many names, but none of them rang a bell. I'm like, well, these all under 23. Like, I was really confused,
mm-hmm.
Jarod. So I'm watching. I think they're playing Germany, and there was this tall white girl that she was just hooping. And so now I'm really watching her, and I realized, oh, she's fucking fantastic. And she wasn't even scoring a bunch.
Right.
Just playing basketball everywhere. And not small. Big girl, but playing like a guard, making passes, getting buckets. And so then I realized, oh, she's phenomenal. And so, but I didn't know who she was. And I didn't want to look at my phone and check it out. I just wanted to let it happen naturally.
Yeah.
So at some point, I saw maybe the back of her jersey. It said Stewart. I heard the announcer say Breanna Stewart. So then I went to my phone. I bet I've heard the name somewhere. It had no meaning to me.
You don't, right.
Saw that she played at Connecticut, WNBA finals twice, winner and MVPs. And she looked exactly like it. It looked like you thought it would. She's one of the best players in the world, right? And I was telling the guys earlier, like, that's how it's supposed to be. When you metrically look like you're a great player, so according to the metrics, but no one sees it, I have concerns about that metric.
Right.
Because normally, and the reason why the most metrics are great is they support exactly what my eyes see and what the average person sees. Oh, this person's just dominating. Like, I don't need metrics to tell me how good Derek White is.
Right.
It helped, though.
Right.
Because you can lose him with superstars around him.
Right.
So I think the metrics really serve a great role of, no, this guy is incredible. For someone like me, I normally can see it anyway. But for women's basketball, it was a treat not knowing anyone and thinking, oh man, that girl. And then obviously a couple other girls were great too.
Mm-hmm.
And I was super impressed with how they played.
Yeah.
Just very, very good defensively, very good coverages on pick and rolls, helping down into passing lanes when the center for Germany was rolling. They would get their hands in the lane and get deflection or steal. The way they shared the ball, they're finishing at the rim. These are not super bouncy athletes.
Right.
That's the next phase, I think, for women in sports. My guess is we'll just start seeing better and better jumping. But the rest of the game, they're like this. Breanna could play at a lot of colleges and do just fine.
Oh,
for the guys. I don't know how tall she is, but she's tall. 6'4", maybe.
6'4", yeah. I think Stewie's 6'4". Yeah.
Really talented. I was impressed with it. And then at one point they showed the women's coach, who I don't know who that is. And she was kind of leaning back. She's, I'm sure, famous. She's coaching Team USA.
It's maybe Cheryl Miller.
Who's it? No. I know who Cheryl Miller is. Yeah, it was some white lady that was older.
Oh no, she coached what's it called? She coached the All-Star, the WNBA All-Stars in the game against Team USA. That's what it was. I'm like,
Cheryl did, right? Oh, I saw that. Yeah. So this at one point she was just kind of sitting back, arms across her chest, and I recognized that. I've been in situations like in AAU events or whatever where, I don't have to say a word. Like my guys are gonna roll these guys. I could just get in the way, and she recognized at some point, the girls have got it. I'm good now. The women have got it. I'm just going to enjoy this. And that's great coaching too. Don't overdo it. Let them do their thing. And it was a treat. So I need to pay attention more. Haven't watched our soccer team play for the women. I need to do that. I enjoy that as well. But yeah, Breanna Stewart, I won't forget that. Now I'm a fan. Now I don't know if WNBA, is it done for the summer?
They're on break right now. They have a break until the Olympics ends.
National team break, like they do in soccer.
Yep.
Yeah, I need to start. Yeah, I have to, again, 34 years, I'm trying to make the 35. I have to draw the line somewhere. And the NBA plays 82 damn games. And there's 30 teams.
Too many fucking games.
I got college to worry about too.
Correct. Cheryl Reeve is the head coach of the U.S. women's basketball team.
What's her story?
I do not know her story. I just Googled it to see who it was. It was a Cheryl. I was like, Cheryl.
Right.
Anyway, yeah. So we talked briefly on the call this morning. But yeah, Stewie, of course, to longtime basketball fans who watched the women's game know, Stewie, Asia Wilson, in my mind, the two best women's players in the world, just outstanding elite players who faced off in the WNBA finals last year when Las Vegas beat the New York Liberty. Liberty back again this year, loaded team, and looking like they're going to have a chance to make another run at the WNBA finals. We shall see. Long way to go before we get there. We got to finish the Olympics. This is Olympic years rough for both genders because
are the women in the semifinals?
No, I don't think not yet.
That was pool play. Still.
Yeah, that was pool play.
Okay, got it. Okay.
So they a break during their season, and then they come back to finish the season and playoffs. It's a lot of basketball, man. This is grinding and wear and tear on the body. All right, folks. We will be back after a brief commercial break. Okay, David. We're so lucky here, and we always say at True Hoop that our secret weapon and what makes us different is we have Coach Thorpe, and Coach Thorpe's ability and his big basketball brain, as I always like to tease and joke, but it's true. It is a big basketball brain, and he watches the game and thinks about it and talks to his players about it and coaches them. Just it's through a different lens than what the average person, even someone who watches a ton of basketball, like I do, right? Like all the teams I watch, it's a lot of basketball. Sometimes I'm like, Jesus, no basketball tonight, please. But David does watch a ton, and it's for his clients, and it's to understand not only what his clients are doing, what the opponents are doing, various different things. And we'll have a piece coming out sometime here in the next week or so about how David, what the specific things he does with clients to get them prepared and ready for a season. And I thought, it'd also be great to talk to David about what it means watching basketball. So on a normal NBA night, let's say it's a Wednesday. Nah, forget that, because Wednesday's a national TV game. Let's say it's a Tuesday night, so no national.
That doesn't matter to me.
But I'm just for context here. So it's a Tuesday night, so no national, no ESPN, none of that stuff. It's just whatever. I will probably watch 3 games that night. 2 in the early frame, and then 1 late game. That's a lot of basketball. But that's it. And then in the morning, I'll get up and maybe whichever game was closest or interesting, I'll watch the condensed version on YouTube TV, like with all the commercials, all the highlight plays, whatever. And that's really it, right? And then if it's something we're going to talk about on the show, hey, David, I saw this play, blah, blah, whatever. that's decent. That's some basketball. But what David does is so far more intricate because by the time it's 7 o'clock, he's already poured over thousands of clips. The text chain I'm lucky to be in already has flooded with text messages of, okay, look at these. I'm like, what the hell is this guy doing? Up all night just watching clips of basketball? Not up all night, but you're up early and you're watching the clip. So I thought it'd be great to sort of take our listeners through when you're breaking down stuff for a client, when you're watching basketball, how you are breaking down the game and the painstaking work it takes to really get these meticulous details for the best players in the world.
Well, thank you for that. It's not just for players that I work with. It's also for True Hoop. If I'm writing about something, right, I need to just go to the film. And so, when I watch games at night live, which I've now got 5 TVs on and 2 laptops in my office and a tablet, a really nice tablet, a large tablet, not expensive. So I can really follow a lot. I'm just kind of taking it all in. I'm seeing how the players that I'm helping are doing, and anything of interest that is trending on Twitter or we've talked about during the show or the article that I'm writing. To me, it's still just watching games and being mindful of what's going on, taking notes or whatever. It's the next morning is when I'm doing the real work, which is I'm just watching synergy clips. Yeah, I'm breaking down how a player is effective offensively. So what are the best ways to solve those problems of how to guard that player or that team if they're like the Warriors or the Pacers who run what they run. I'm also looking at where I think players can take advantage of teams defensively. So for example, let's say someone I'm helping is playing the Cavs and he's a shooting guard. I'll watch the last game Cleveland played and watch a lot of the possessions that the other team's shooting guard had, how to get his points. And then I don't know if I could have done this as well 10 years ago as now, just because I'm experienced at it more. I can kind of see Jarod Allen does not want to leave the paint, or Isaac Okoro is susceptible for backdoors, or whatever it is. And so then I can feed that to my players on. Oh, and not just that, I also mentor coaches.
Right.
So, hey, you should try this. You should look at this. And so I'm breaking all that down. And I'm also looking at my own players that I work with on where they're failing. Everything from something simple like not holding their screens long enough. It's a big thing with me. One player I'm working with right now in the Olympics is using his hands more defensively. He's a great defensive player, but I think he's too casual with where his hand placement is, guarding on the ball and off the ball, both, but mostly on the ball. And one of my assistants who I was driving the other day and couldn't see a game, and my assistant, Pete, texted me that the player got his hands real high, very active on a blitz, and it forced a turnover, which is what we want. Yep. We're trying to do that. So I've got players who are so worried about boxing out, they forget to go get the ball. So I'll show them clips, and then I send them out. These players get 3 to 5 clips most game days from me, or the day after games from me, with where they're failing and where they're succeeding, where I think there's an opportunity to score more. And it's relentless. And I tell players all the time, you know this well, get off the roller coaster and get on that merry-go-round, enjoy the merry-go-round. And so I try to bring a level of calm as opposed to panic.
Yep.
Yeah, whereas broadcasters kind of take the opposite approach because they're broadcasting the game. And coaches sometimes, I think, panic.
Yeah.
I get nervous watching all my players play. I really do. I feel like, just like you don't know this, but well, you do. You're a coach. Mm-hmm. When you send your kids out to swim or run,
right,
they're out of your hands now.
Correct.
And I always feel like, oh my God, I should have said this or this. And yeah, that's never a great feeling. And almost never do I feel like, okay, they're 100% ready for this, because there's always going to be something,
of course,
especially at the highest levels. So yeah, it's got to be consistent day to day. You fix players' mechanics.
Mm-hmm.
I've had players this summer where it's easier for me because I can stand directly behind them.
Right.
I also hope sometimes it unnerves them, because I want them wondering, what is coach looking at? I don't want them thinking about me. If they are, they're fucking up.
Right.
Forget about me. But I can't see it on TV because of the way the camera angles are. But you should. A lot of these players we call toe the nail. There's a nail in the free throw line, right in the middle, the dead middle of the rim. and yet they shoot the ball a little bit to the right or a little bit left of that middle point, which means the ball, if you look at it from a direct vertical standpoint, it's outside the path to the rim.
Yep.
So I want the ball lined up directly in that hole in the middle, right over the nail in a sense. So if you're shooting a little bit to the right of your right eye, and your right eye is on the nail, your ball isn't. So slide over 2 panels to the left. So that's the kind of stuff we do in the off season. We fix that. Shooting mechanics, balance, landing with balance. I was telling you guys earlier, I'll write about this today. One of my main themes for the summer for a lot of my players is sticking the landing. So gymnastics has been a great way. I haven't used it yet because it's unfair. They're jumping so high. It's not as hard to stick the landing when they're jumping so high. But the idea is the same, stick the landing. When my son was playing high-level baseball, his very, very good hitting instructor, who we work with privately, was saying he wanted him to swing as hard as he could. Swing out of your cleats, but stay balanced after you swing it. Just hold it. In a game, you'd run to first base if you hit it. But the idea is, can you swing and still be balanced? Can you swing violently and still be balanced? Well, shooting is not a violent move, is that. Kicking, I think, in soccer, you want to land a certain way, and you got to learn to control that. That takes a discipline. So we work with our players a lot of sticking the landing. So in film, I'll send out that kind of stuff, what it looks like when they're doing it or when someone else does it. I just sent some of my better players, my bigger guys that are better players, some KD tape and how good KD is at getting to the spots he wants, stroking it every single time.
Landing on balance.
I don't think anyone could be as good as KD, but it's a good thing to shoot for. So yeah, that's what I'm doing all the time is, for lack of a better way to put it, and I don't mean to say this with ego, but I've earned the privilege of knowing that I know something about this game. I've worked a lot for it. I'm able to kind of see the matrix in a way that like the best guys can. That doesn't mean I don't learn, but oh boy, do I learn. I learned from watching great players. I learned from watching great coaches. I learned from reading and listening about them. The few times someone writes really interesting stuff, which I don't think for me it too often happens. And I learned from my players on the court all the time. Just stacking up. At some point, I won't be able to process it anymore. But my bandwidth is good still right now. So I'm watching the game and I'm just getting. I'll tell you this one story. I may have told this last week. I don't remember. But I was sitting with a former head coach who's now a GM for the first time. He's in Europe. He's not in the NBA. And he told me a story from 21 years ago about how he was listening to me talking to a video voice recorder. Did I not tell you this story?
No.
So he said, I'm watching. I'll tell you who the player was. His name was Mario Austin. He never really made the NBA. And I don't remember this, by the way. But he said, we had a summer league game. This was like, 2005, 2007, something like that. Whenever he was a McDonald's All-American, played at Mississippi State, came out too early, whatever. He said, you're talking to a voice recorder, watching Mario play. He's like, I'm sitting next to you. We had dinner in Vegas. He was telling me the story. He said, meanwhile, I've been assistant coach for the last couple of years for back-to-back EuroLeague champion Maccabi Tel Aviv. And he's like, and then he became a head coach for a long, long time. Now he's a GM for Hapoel Jerusalem. His name is Dan Shamir. And Dan said, I'm watching the game you're watching, and I have no idea what you're talking about. He's like, I'm seeing the game holistically as a 5-on-5 guy. And to be fair, I don't think that I would see the game like he saw it.
Right.
I don't see plays like he does anymore. I see action some.
Right.
But I'm much more focused on the individual. And I think that's helped me see a bigger picture, actually, by seeing the smaller picture first and what really these guys are having to do. It's really hard. These guys are so good. They're so athletic. It's why we complain sometimes, but you do, more than I do even, about the inconsistent officiating. Because it makes it so much harder for the players to know what they can and can't do. Can I put my hands in him? Can I not? How hard can I shove him? Can I push off a little bit? Can I use my shoulder? All of those sometimes are yes, sometimes no.
Right.
So now I got to make those decisions too.
Right.
It adds up to a lot. But yeah, so that's what I'm doing. And to be fair, it's not work for me. It's not no different than songwriters sing the right songs.
Because you love it.
It's just, it's in my DNA now,
But it is a lot of work, folks, and that's the kind of insight and granular detail you're getting here, Drew, when David writes these things, right? The stuff he's talking about are stuff he tells directly to his players, and these are some of the best players in the world, right? Guys who signed huge deals, like right in the NBA.
It's been a good summer. It's been a good summer for my
money,
players. Yeah.
big money.
And I don't ever say something like this, but you give me the opportunity to say it now. There are lots of people who do what I do, who are always on social media.
Mm-hmm.
They can do whatever they want to do. I don't feel comfortable doing that.
Right,
I've never felt comfortable. And other than when I was at ESPN early on in my career there, Deadspin wrote some articles saying, how can we be sure these aren't Thorpe's players, whatever? So I had to start naming the players I work with. I hated that, and we eventually got away from it. You just have to trust Henry and Jarod and myself and our editor, Travis. If I'm writing about a player that I'm helping, we're going to be sober and rational and fair. And I'll go out of my way not to write about that player unless I have to. And I can be critical, and you guys don't know it, but I've been critical of players that I work with because I have to be fair about that to my role at True Hoop. There's one day I hope to have a whole bunch of players. I don't have hundreds. I've had hundreds. I've got a double-digit number that I work with every day. And I'm starting a college business now that's doing the same thing. Double digits, probably in year one. I think we'll do 10 in year one, see how that goes. But I'm gonna be fair to True Hoop. It's also only fair to my players. They don't want me to tell them stories. They need the cold, hard truth. I had a player, I was sick of watching him get a shot block in the playoffs. And I said, you're not dunking the ball. And then I talked to his brother this summer. He's like, what the fuck happened? He had like 6 dunks the next game, whatever. And I said, we were talking about the game. And I said, well, ask him. I said, I'm fucking sick of seeing you get your shot blocked when you're not playing athletically. You're a really athletic guy. They want the truth.
Yes.
If you don't want the truth, you're not going to work with me. And if you can't stand being humbled, you're not going to work with me. My guys crave that. They're humble by nature. They're hungry, and they're willing to hustle, but they're humble. And so that's how it is with me. And I just rather keep it. I'm trying to help people understand the game as best I can, and I'm trying to keep my player development part separate from that. Because it's a vulnerable relationship that these players have with the game, with myself, with their fans, and I want to honor that and keep that private. So you guys all know, because I never want to talk about a player that I'm working with and have you guys not realize it. That's like a fraudulent thing. My relationship with you guys would be in jeopardy. So I need to be honest with you guys. So if my player sucks, you can blame me if you want to. I'm doing my best. I'm doing my best.
Well, one thing I can say for sure is all of David's clients in the NBA that I have had the opportunity to come across when they come through to New York. And David will tell me, oh, the so-and-so's in town. Go say hi to whoever before the game. And I do that. And this is not because David's here. I've told him this privately, publicly. It's all the same. Every time I go over and I say, hey, so-and-so, Coach Thorpe's my guy, and it's like all I say is Coach Thorpe. They stop listening after that, and they're like, "Come over, that's my man." Like, and so it's like, "Oh, that's good for me." Now you like me because that's the Coach Thorpe. Wonderful.
Listen, I've told the story before about Reese Gaines, the former player from Louisville and the Orlando Magic first-round pick. He told a former assistant of mine named Mike, "I don't care what they look like. I don't care if it's short, tall, black, white, glasses, not glasses. Like if he can help me play better, like I'm all in." A player the other day asked if I'd be around later this month at a gym he was going to go to. And I said, I can be if you want me to be. I really don't want to be. I want to stay here in Clearwater. I'm very lazy in the off season. But when he said, I need you to be there.
Well, you're going to be up there.
I'm like, I wrote back, I'm all in. Like, at what point they're going to stop saying that? So until they do, I'm going to do whatever I can as best I can. I'll be in a lot of places this summer. I'll be in LA. I'll be in Orlando. I'll be here. I've already been to Toronto. I'll be 3 or 4 NBA cities too. All before Labor Day, when they start really everyone kind of reports the camp right after Labor Day, with some exception, like the Olympians won't be there.
These poor guys.
Necessarily, nor will some of the top veterans. They won't rush to get there, September 5th or 7th.
Right.
They'll be there mid-September.
No, it's listen, again, we are lucky and fortunate to have David. And again, every interaction I've had with one of his players, like, to a man, they're like, that's my guy, and like their eyes light up, which makes me
very sweet.
I know his relationship with them is genuine, and he genuinely cares about them as people, and of course helps them with their basketball. Like it's the only way you get that kind of reaction, right? It's not transactional. And again, I've been around athletes enough to know when they're giving me bullshit lines. I'm like, whatever. Like, no, I know that's real. that's
Listen,
real.
I had a great player tell me at the beginning of the summer he doesn't enjoy my workouts. He enjoys what I do all year.
Right.
The workouts, he didn't say they're too hard. They're too hard. He's trained with so many other people. He's a veteran that don't train like I do. And it's not as fun. Yeah. His agent's like, are you fucking out of your mind? People travel over the world to get to David's gym and you don't want it because it's hard. But he and I had a good talk about it. But I appreciate the honesty.
Right.
It's not for everyone. But
right.
I'm not to run a boot camp.
No.
Like I have a process here.
Yeah.
But it's supposed to be hard. It's supposed to be hard.
And that's the other thing, folks. Like David's workouts for players are scripted, right? Like down to the T, right? However, it's 60 minutes, 90 minutes, whatever the time frame is. We're doing this, then it's this. And it's like a lot of game type situations. It's fascinating. Really awesome stuff.
I didn't realize. Maybe I will write about that if you think that's fascinating, because I don't have to write it down anymore. I know what I want to do that day. And I just have that encyclopedia in my brain now where I can say this, and I pivot. Oh, he's struggling with this. Let me get a few more things with that. I do want everyone, I'll show you right now. I do want everyone to write it down when they're early in their careers because they haven't been around as long as me. So this is my next book.
That's it. The playbook journal.
So I've never used one before, but my assistant for the summer in Orlando used one and he scripted everything out and drew it. It was great. So I'm actually going to do that for all my drills.
Yeah.
And I've asked Ryan Pannone, I don't know if I told you this, I asked Ryan to do the same thing for his team drills.
I like it.
And we're going to co-publish a book in theory. Now, someone's going to have to redo my illustrations because I have less talent than anyone on the planet for that kind of stuff. But I used to write it out. I used to do that. I just didn't draw out the drills. I could just go through them in my head. But I always scripted out. Now, if I was running a 5-on-5 team practice, everything's scripted.
Yeah, for sure.
1-on-0 kind of stuff.
Yeah.
I know what I'm doing this day. And I can just kind of riff through it and adjust to it, kind of ad lib on the fly. But I couldn't do that before. But for sure, like we're not going to miss something. I know what I have to do on a Monday. Every day is different too. I know what I have to do on this, and we're going to get it done. And I got to feel the player out too.
Yes.
You know, if he's a little bit off to start, I got to slow it down. If he's not ready for something, I'll just in my mind do it later, and we'll do that. Yeah. I'll write about that.
That is the hallmark of coaching. David, coaching swimmers is a very, very similar thing. Again, the workouts, not only the workouts scripted, workouts are scripted for the season, right? Into the phases, right? Build phase, peak, whatever, taper, all that stuff's planned out, right? But I have to gauge the athletes, and I'm like, man, we're not really hitting our times on the walls like we have been. That's telling me so-and-so's fatigued or something's going on, right?
Yeah.
So I got to pull back a little bit, right? It's like, get off the gas a little bit. Let's come but that's, again, that's the relationship, knowing your athlete, watching, paying attention, all the work behind the scenes that, again, most people are not privy to. They just see the final product on the day, right? But it takes a lot of stuff to get to that point.
So this just happened. I don't know if you could hear the ding, but I have WhatsApp on my laptop.
Yeah.
And so I talked about a guy named Herb Welling who has a Facebook page called Herb on Hoops. It's got 5,000 plus members, I think. I could be wrong, but I think it's that. NBA coaches, international coaches, high-level guys. So Herb, who I've known forever, he just sent me a WhatsApp. I'll read it to you. He's not great at long sentences, so I'm not exactly sure what this means. It just popped up on my screen. It said, David creating pace ideas, please. Oh, he sent me on WhatsApp. Okay, so he wants video. So I know what he's probably going to write some post about how to create pace ideas. Yeah. So I have some. Yeah. In fact, they can lead into what we're going to talk about. Have you watched the 3-on-3?
I have seen some of the 3-on-3. How do you
score? You score right away. Right. There's no check it up at top. No, it's fluid.
Correct.
That's exactly one way we create pace ideas. Short shot clock. I've told you this before. No inbounds.
Yeah.
Just grab it and go.
Yep.
And that's one way to get guys playing faster and faster. But
this
is how we do it. It's just people prompting me, which prompts me to have to learn more because now I'll text Ryan Pannone.
Right.
I'll call one of the guys I've helped that coach the Celtics and because I want to give her a great answer. So I'll do some research, but I have my own thoughts too on how to do it. And that's how we get smarter.
I mean, that's what all coaches do, right? One of my favorite things is always spending time around the other great coaches and just emailing, sending a note. Hey, what about this, and this? What do you do when you have an IMer who's got this trouble with this? Oh, I work on this thing. It's like, this is, and then everyone in every coaching profession steals, and I'm using air quotes, from everybody. Like, that's just what it is. Like, it's because there's only so many things that exist, right? And it's all based off of like one block foundation, and then guys do variations of and women off of whatever that original foundation is. That's the name of the game. And you share and you share and you tweak and you augment. That's the beauty of it. That's the fun part to me when I was in the thick of it. All right, we've been talking about 5-on-5 basketball for a while, but in the Olympics we have 3-on-3 basketball. And so David was like, 3-on-3 basketball. And so the question you asked in the document, should it be an Olympic sport? I mean, look, we have so many fucking sports in the Olympics, and I'm just like, but look, if people want to play 3-on-3 and it's fun and I'm okay with it. I don't mind. I
agree with you. I agree with you totally. And to be fair, one of my former assistants, James Frischilla, Fran's son, Fran's a famous. So he and his dad are like the guys who run it. Although I never see them on TV. I haven't even asked them why.
Maybe.
I guess so. I guess you just coach yourself like you would at the park.
Yeah.
So, but my real question is, can America field a better team, please? So I've got. They went 2-5. We depend on Jimmer for that.
Who else is on it?
He got hurt. One of the Barry sons.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
But that's the point. So Ice Cube.
Oh, his Big Three league.
Ice Cube has Big Three. Yeah, I get him and Ice T. I know them both. But, okay, so Ice Cube, he suggested that the best 3-on-3 team in the world are his teams. And I think in first place is my former player, Corey Brewer's team, who might be MVP of that league.
Corey's
I have zero doubt watching the Team USA team play that Corey's team would destroy those teams. And so now I start thinking, well, I mean, Fran, Frischilla, and James are the best guys, super knowledgeable, global knowledge about basketball. Fran follows everything, so does James, who's a coach of the Capital City team in the G League. Okay. He's an assistant coach for the Go-Go. And so give them former NBA players. Those guys, a lot of, as someone, I know this well, players sometimes finish and really struggle to find themselves. So let's let them go try to win gold medals.
Yeah, do a little 3-on-3.
Yeah. I'm Jarod Green and Corey are on the same team. Yeah. I forget the other guys on the team, but they're all former NBA players. They would kill these guys. Great.
I mean,
do it for the other countries too.
Sure. I'd be down with that. Like, look.
Older is better because they don't want to run. Well, Corey can run all day.
Definitely don't want to run full court anymore.
Yeah, so let him do half court. It'd be amazing. I think it'd be amazing. I'm going to push for it.
Continuing on the Olympic theme, Noah Lyles won the 100 meters dash on the men's side, and he's in the news because a year ago, he made a statement about how can the NBA champion call themselves world champions? It's a domestic league. They're only playing other NBA teams. They're not world champions. And I thought, this is an interesting discussion to have because, again, as I talked about earlier in the show, when you watch basketball only through an NBA lens, and again, I will admit everyone who watches it knows it is for sure the best basketball league in the world. You forget that, but people play basketball in professional leagues other places too, right? Like with other players who are also good that just don't happen to be in the NBA for a variety of reasons. And so I was like, that's something interesting. And so, I thought we'd bring this conversation here. Right now we have the Olympics and FIBA World Cup, and that's for national teams. So the United States national team, Spanish national team, whomever, whatever country, this is your national team. So there is a title for best team in the world, right? And it's given out at the Olympics and at the FIBA World Cup. But can the best team in the NBA, the Boston Celtics, can they say we are the best team in the world? And I say no, David, because there is no club level competition. If there was, and our domestic champion, which is our NBA champion, beat whomever else in those domestic leagues, and we did some kind of Champions League format where it's knockout round, all that crap. If they won it, then yes, they could call themselves the best team in the world. And I think personally, it would be a fun thing to do. So think about the NBA Cup, same idea, right? And then you'd have knockout stage, and it'd all be single elimination. Because we don't have time for best out of seven.
Which is why the NBA can't do it.
Right.
That's why. Because if you played best of 3, best of 5, best of 7, it's they're going to win maybe
every time.
Maybe lose once in a blue moon.
Right.
They're going to win the series every time.
Right.
They might lose a game.
Right.
That would be a very extraordinary circumstance. So I think maybe a better way to call it would be world's best, because they aren't really champions. You're right. The champions suggest there was a tournament to elect the champion,
and there was not,
or earn the championship. Right. they're the world's best. It is a global league. I'm very proud of that,
For sure.
as are you. And I think I'm right to say Nikola Mirotic left from being getting DNP CDs in New Orleans to MVP of the Euro League.
Correct. Sure did.
Like, there's no comparison to these teams. There just isn't. Any one game with 40 minutes versus 48 with the terrible fucking referees
and FIBA rules
that are there, and FIBA rules. Yeah, the FIBA rules are less of a big deal other than the 5 fouls is something, although they don't call it much. And and so that all matters too. But I don't worry too much about it. I don't think Noah Lyles was smart to. I mean, but he do what he wanted to do. He backed it up with a championship as a racer. Did. I don't care what his opinion is on anything else. Did. Yeah, but the bottom line is our I think, is it 5 straight Olympic golds if we win this one?
Yes.
Because when's the last time we didn't?
2004.
So
that was that terrible year in 4 where it was like, oh man, we not good. Athens.
Really? When did Coach K take over?
2008 was his first year, I believe.
Is that right?
So 2008, 2016, 2020, 2024 was to be our 4th straight. Yeah, I think 2004. Yeah, that was the debacle when it was like LeBron's first year going.
I thought maybe that was 2002, Indianapolis World Championship.
We lost that one too, but I thought it was the 04.
Yeah.
Let me.
Oh, you would know better than me. I don't follow it too closely. So, but yeah, there's a reason we're a huge country. So we have a huge advantage that we're such a huge country.
Yeah, that was a Larry Brown team. Yeah, bronze. That was Allen Iverson's leading scorer. Yep. I remember. Yep, that was the one.
So 04?
That was the one we lost. It was bad news.
We had the best teams then. We had the best players then too. But the gulf is, I almost don't think it has been wider in 25 years between our best players and everyone else. There's individuals.
Yes.
Serbia has a great one. Greece has a great one. Slovenia has a great one. But good. You can't even name the second best player.
That is what makes us so much better. Is that think about
Jason Tatum didn't play the first game for us.
See, this is the thing, right? Like the Team USA's right now second 5 unit is fucking Kevin Durant, Drew Holiday. Like this is like no one else can.
They're the best team in the world after the first unit.
Right,
and maybe the best team.
Correct. Like this is unfair in that way, right? Like you can't win when that is the kind of depth. However, David, I do think those kinds of single elimination things would be fun because it would. There's no guarantee, as we said before. Bad shooting night, definitely, you don't rebound well.
In any one game, anything can happen, and especially if I mean, some of these officiating in the Olympics is so terrible. NBA refs can be bad, but nothing like this, in my opinion. As bad as we've been,
and
nothing
been bad.
like this. And so I don't want to pierce the veil of we're so much better than everyone because one loss and all of a sudden you think things are more even.
Right.
But I think we're coming. Didn't Silver just say they're looking at some teams in Europe or an NBA league over there?
Well, yeah. I mean, I'm sure that's the plan. I mean, to me, David, I look at it as I like it for a television product to grow the game and get people excited, right? We talk about it every year. Why is it that people get so geeked out about March Madness, but they don't have the same level of excitement for NBA playoffs? Because what we know and what data has shown us is that single elimination gets people going nuts because, to your point, anything can happen.
That's why the IST was so good.
Right. It's like, oh my God, I mean, think about it, right? The Indiana Pacers, although they've proven themselves by getting to the conference finals in that same year, right? And early, no one thought, because we pay attention, thought they were good, but most people were like, this team sucks. Oh, they're actually really good, right? But I think that kind of excitement would be fun. Like, think about it, right? You got, see, who's the best team in the world right now? I think Olympiacos won EuroLeague, but let's say Real Madrid, right, is playing the Celtics. And it's like that same scenario we talked about. 80, 3 minutes to go, in the fourth, right, for the world championship. That's exciting basketball, right? As opposed to, best out of 5 or whatever, and boring, right? We predetermined outcome. I think for the TV aspect of it and fans, which would lead to more dollars for our players and all the other stuff, I think that would be exciting if it ever happened, but it probably won't. So we are where we are.
Yeah. It's worth, we'll see down the road. I'm glad the game's getting more global. That's for sure.
Yeah,
I'm happy about that.
All right, folks, enjoy the quarterfinal matchups, and we will see you on Thursday. Take care.